It is estimated that 27% of Americans use a financial advisor. So, said another way, that means 73% of Americans do not use a financial advisor. And in this video, I'm going to help you determine if you need a financial advisor. If you're new around here, my name is Jacob Turner. I own a financial planning firm called Moment Private Wealth, where we specifically help athletes and entrepreneurs build and protect wealth. Now, before you run and you leave this video and you think that I'm going to tell everybody that they need a financial advisor, I'm not. Because the truth is, I don't think everybody needs a financial advisor. But what we are going to talk about in this video is who needs one, who doesn't need one, what are the inflection points, and I'm going to leave you guys with some words of wisdom at the end. Some words of wisdom that I've learned along the way using financial advisors for more than a decade and also owning my own financial planning firm. So let's dive in. So let's start with who doesn't need a financial advisor. Well, I think the matter of whether you do or don't really comes down to a couple different things. Factor number one is how privy and how active are you in your own financial life? We have clients who want to delegate everything. We have other families who say, I really want to understand what's going on. We have other families that say, I don't even know if we're a good fit anymore because we want to be doing all this stuff on our own. And I think that's a question that you have to ask yourself. When you're thinking about a financial advisor, are you a delegator, or do you want to understand this, or do you just frankly want to do it on your own? Because I think a lot of those people, that 73% of people that don't have financial advisors, maybe they just want to do it on their own. And if that's you out there, I think that's a great opportunity to not have a financial advisor. With that being said, I do think there's other things that they could be looking at, blind spots, things that come up along the way. The other group that I think doesn't need a financial advisor is if you are just starting out, I don't think you need an ongoing financial advisor. And the reason for that is your complexity and your opportunity set is a little bit lower. Now, when I say opportunity set, I want you to think about it like this. If you make a big mistake with your financial life when you're 22, 23, 24 years old, and you're making $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, chances are it's not going to blow up your financial life for the next 30 to 40 years. With that being said, if you're making $1 million at age 55 and you're looking to retire next year, your opportunity set is far greater, and the opportunity set that if you make a mistake, that mistake is going to hinder your financial future is far greater. So I think it also depends on where are you at in your life? Where are you at from a financial perspective? Where are you at on your financial journey to first and foremost determine, do you need a financial advisor? So if you fall into one of those two buckets, one, you just really love doing it on your own. Or two, you're saying, I don't think I really have the complexity yet that I really need to have somebody. I don't think you need a financial advisor. In fact, I think there's people out there that you can either work with on an hourly basis, or you can maybe get a one-time financial plan and really get the foundation set up. Heck, you could watch YouTube videos that I put out, and you could probably do a lot of the easy stuff on your own and get the foundation set in place. Now, when I say don't hire a financial advisor, that does not mean that you should neglect your finances. Because what I will tell you is, if you set a good financial foundation, even if you're making $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 today, it will carry you through into the future. So don't hear what I'm not saying. If you don't hire a financial advisor, you need to get educated on what you're doing. Let's talk about who needs a financial advisor. And when I think about who needs a financial advisor, it really comes down to personal preference. Remember, 27% of Americans have a financial advisor, which means 73% don't. But 50 some odd percent say that at some point they're going to have one, which means that as complexity grows, as things start to come up in their life, as time starts to get more limited, they're saying, I don't have one today, but in the future, I think I'm going to need one. So let's talk a little bit about who needs one. I think first and foremost, folks that have a really big opportunity set, just like I talked about. When I say opportunity set, it's not just what you're making in income and what your complexity is, but I want you to think about it as if you stubbed your toe and you made that really big mistake, the market went down and you pulled the money out, would that move really affect you into your financial future for the years to come? Because if it is, I think it makes a ton of sense to have somebody else looking at your blind spots. I also think it makes a ton of sense is if you have a family situation come up, if you have kids, if you get married, there's some sort of inflection point in your life where you're saying, there are other people relying on me. And I'll give you guys a personal story from myself. When Kristen, my wife, and I hired financial advisors, one of the biggest benefits in my mind of hiring an advisor, yes, we talk strategy, yes, we talked investments, yes, we talk taxes and estate planning, all these sorts of things. But for me, the big value was I wanted to make sure that Kristen, who was very much the non-CFO spouse, she didn't have her finger on the daily pulse of our finances, had one point person that she could call that if something ever happened to me, the train could stay on the tracks. Now, I think this is really, really important. We had worked really hard for the previous decade to put ourselves in a really good financial position, but at the end of the day, I was kind of running the show, and I really wanted to make sure that we had somebody else that, again, if something happens to me, she can call them and know that we're good to go. So when I think about who needs a financial advisor, I think people in those situations need a financial advisor. For us working with athletes and entrepreneurs, the opportunity set is so great. They're making so much money in such a short period of time. It's what I call sudden wealth. That if we do this right, in just a couple of years, we can really set them up to be able to have financial flexibility or complete financial optionality for the future. Now, the other part of people that I think need a financial advisor or need some sort of coach around this, whether that's a CPA, whether that's a CFP, whoever it may be, but somebody that can look at their blind spots, are certainly business owners. We work with a lot of business owners at Moment Private Wealth. And I would say on the business owner side, one of the biggest benefits I see is having somebody that helps you to see your blind spots. Most business owners that we work with, in fact, I would say all business owners that we work with, are really good at one thing. They're really good at making money. But just like me, they're not always great at seeing all their blind spots. I know for me, I have blind spots that I grew up with, that I have certain preconceived notions with, and it's really helpful for me to be able to have somebody else that's outside of me, that's not emotional about my own money, say, you know, Jacob, you're doing this thing with your money, and I really think you should look over here. And it's really opened my eyes a couple different times on opportunities that will create far greater wealth than any sort of investment I made by having them in my life and that relationship in my life. So I think you need to think about what your opportunity set is and what is the complexity? What is the time you have? If you're saying, hey, I have a ton of time on my hands, I love doing this stuff, I would say don't delegate it then. If you want to do it, you'll probably be more frustrated hiring a financial advisor than just doing it yourself. So just do it yourself. And look, if at some point you need some help along the way, there's people out there that you can hire on an hourly basis or on a project basis to be able to help you with that one-off scenario. But if you're somebody like me that wants somebody that is that ongoing partner, and like many of our clients, they want that ongoing relationship, that ongoing partner to see those blind spots, I think at that point you say, okay, I think it really makes sense to potential hire a financial advisor. The next piece I want to touch on is who should you hire? I did a whole video on what questions to ask. There's other videos on my platform that talk all about this sorts of things. But what I will just leave you with simply is this. You want to hire somebody who's looking at your complete picture. Now, if they say the buzzword, they do holistic financial planning, that means nothing. And the reason why that means nothing is it means a bunch of different things. Every financial advisor I talk to says they do that. And the reality is they all do something different. So make sure when you're going through their process to determine if they're a right fit for you, you really understand, okay, what are they going to do for me? What tweaks are they going to make to my situation today? And if we chose to partner together, what would that look like in the future? Because in my opinion, only then can you determine if they're the right fit for you. Now, I promised I would leave you guys with some words of wisdom. And what I will tell you is, yes, I've been running a financial planning firm for the last 5 years. But previous to that, the previous decade plus, I used financial advisors. In fact, I used multiple different financial advisors. I used the big firm, and I used the small firm, and I used the in-between firm. I used the family office. I've used almost everybody. And a couple things that I came across to understand is just because somebody else is a good fit for that firm doesn't mean you are. And what I mean by that is just because your friend says, hey, they do great work for me, you need to determine that for yourself. Just because you've been working with a financial advisor for a really long time doesn't mean they're the right fit for you today. Heck, a lot of our clients, most of our clients, 90+% of our clients, were working with a previous financial firm before they hired Moment. And the reason for that's simple. They just simply outgrew their situation. The business had become more complex. They got the big contract and they were saying, I really need somebody that specializes in high net worth and ultra high net worth families, which is what we do at Moment Private Wealth. I want to touch on that a little bit more because I think one of the biggest mistakes I see people make with financial advisors is once they hire a financial advisor, they never look around to determine if they're still with the right person for them at the stage they're at. And what I will tell you is we are not a good fit for 99% of people, but the people that we are a good fit for, that 1% of people, man, I feel like we have the best product and the best solution for them. And what I will tell you is there is somebody out there, no matter what your situation is, whether you're a doctor, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a business owner, whether you're an athlete, whether you're a retiree, that somebody out there has that 1% solution for you. It might be us. It might be somebody else. It might be somebody down the street. It might be somebody across the country. But the good news for you is we live in a virtual world. You can work with anybody, anywhere. So just because you're working with a financial advisor today does not mean that they're the right person for you. And I say this from personal experience. As I continue to progress in my baseball career, I outgrew some of the people that I was previously working with and moved to other people that had other specialties and other expertise that were able to help me better in that situation. So as always, my goal with this channel is to help you get smarter with your money. So if you're out there and you're thinking, should I hire a financial advisor? The question really comes back to you. Do you need one? Do you want to delegate? Do you want to do this on your own? How educated do you feel? And ultimately, what is your opportunity set? If you stub your toe learning along the way, which I think is a fine path to go, will it affect you 5, 10 years, 15 years down the road? Because if it does, I would say you should probably hire somebody now and have them teach you along the way to make sure that you don't stub your toe and make that big mistake. I know it was certainly true for me. It helped me to have those people in my life to set that financial foundation. As always, my goal is to help you get smarter with your money. Until next time, my friends.